Today I'm going to do a science lesson on sink or float. So things that float, like this ping pong ball, float on the top of the water. And they're usually very light. And things that sink, like this nail, go to the bottom. They sink to the bottom of the water because they're heavy. Metal is heavy. And the reason why is objects are made out of molecules. That means little tiny particles. You can't see the individual particles by themselves, but when they're all together, they make up something. And if you looked under a super powerful microscope, you could see these things. But things that float on the top are less dense. That means those particles are all spread out. And a lot of times there's air in there. They're spread out more. That's why they float. That's why they're lighter. Things that sink are heavy. They're more dense. All those particles are tight together. And the objects are heavier. Now, sometimes I know some kids have said, but why do boats float if it's a metal boat? That's because that has to do with buoyancy. Buoyancy is when there's more of the outside touching the water. There's more, that's called surface area. There's more outside of the boat that touches the water, and that water pushes against that, the outside, and it makes it float. Also, a lot of times boats are hollow. That means there's nothing on the inside. They're not completely full. So that's another reason why they will float. So today we're going to do an experiment. Right here I have some water and I have some objects, and we're going to predict. We're going to predict, will it float or will it sink to the bottom? And remember, things that float are light and things that sink are heavy. So let's first start with this rock. My daughter found this rock in the park. A lot of times people paint rocks and leave them as surprises in the park. This is an octopus rock. Now, a rock is light or heavy? It's heavy, right? So it's probably going to float or sink. What do you think? I think it's going to sink. So let's try it. Ready? Whoa. It's a big rock, so it's poking out of the top, but it definitely sank to the bottom. So that rock, it sank. Let's try something else. Look at this. This is a Nerf Bullet, right? From a Nerf gun. It's made out of foam. Me and the kids, we played Nerf Wars the other night. It's made out of foam, and foam is very light. So do you think it's going to float on the top of the water or sink to the bottom? Let's see. Ready? It's floating. Do you see it floating on the top? Because it was light, right? It floats. Let's try something else. This is a key. Now, a key is relatively light in your hand, but it's metal. And it definitely feels heavier than the Nerf Bullet. So let's see what will happen. Do you think it'll float or do you think it will sink? Let's see. Oh, there it went to the bottom. It sank. Let's try something else. Let's try this cork. A cork is, you see it a lot of times at the top of wine bottles. And it's made of like this, it's like spongy material. It keeps the wine fresh so it doesn't go bad. It's pretty light. Let's see what will happen. Do you think it's going to float or sink? Remember what happens. Things that are light float, things that are heavy sink. Let's see. There it is. It's floating. There's lots of air in cork, so it's very light. And that's why it floats. Let's try a penny. Now, what's a penny made out of? Is it made out of wood or paper? No, it's made out of metal, right? And even though it's light in your hand, metal is a heavy substance. So let's see. Float or sink? Oh, it sank, see? That's why if you ever go to a fountain, I always make a wish and throw a penny in and it goes to the bottom, right? And let's try our last object, this. This is a honey dipper. See how it looks like a beehive? I use this to dip in my honey so I can put it in my tea. It's made out of wood. Now, wood has a lot of air in it. And it's pretty light. Let's see what happens. Let's see if it floats or sinks. There it is. It's floating. Wood always floats. It's very light. All right, I hope you enjoyed that. Maybe tonight, what you can do is you can go into your bathroom when you take a bath at nighttime, and you can ask Mommy and Daddy, say, hey, can we pick out some objects to test out in the bathtub, see if they sink or float? You could even do it in your sink. Fill up your sink and try it. That would be really neat. Okay, have a great day. Bye.